Welcome back, everyone, to Ludus Infinium. Today we are going over part 16 of Horus Rising, or part 2, section 6. So we start off with something kind of funny. We're back on the planet Murder, and Lord Commander Eidolon decides to go up to Torgaddon because smirked. And they have what can be very politely called a massive miscommunication. So, Eidolon starts up with, I understand if you won't bow to me. To which Torgaddon, in his normal Torgaddon way, but I can't for the life of me imagine a reason in which I would. And so they basically both try to well, that's not really true. Eidolon comes up to Torgaddon with this air of arrogance, and Torgaddon just puts him in his place. And then the best line I've ever read in any of the 6 books is said by Torgaddon. If I insulted you, I meant it. And it's just so beautiful. And then when determining just how incompetent Eidolon is, he's like, you dropped what? A whole company? How many are left? Give me a head count. 39 are left. 39 Emperor's Children out of, I believe, 100. I don't know. They keep fucking changing it. Anyway. So, at this, after all this is done, Tarvitz is, like, internally really glad to see someone put Eidolon in his place. He does not like Eidolon, and he's just, it's like, yes, someone gave him the business end. But he's like, okay, so what do you need me to do? So, afterwards, Torgaddon kind of pushes Tarvitz. He's like, so why did you agree or disagree with Eidolon's choice to drop? Well, it's not my place to agree or to disagree. You know, it's my job just to do it. And so after pushing and pushing and pushing, Tarvitz admits that he thought the decision was a choice made out of pride or ambition. And Tarvitz clarifies to Torgaddon that the Emperor's children seek purity through immolation of the Emperor. Torgaddon counters with that no one is on the Emperor's level, and that there is no purity in pride or arrogance. And they go a little bit back and forth on this, where Tarvitz says, you know, we know. And Torgaddon's like, well, someone needs to tell him because he needs to act like he knows. And then a little later on, Torgaddon and Eidolon debate on what their next move should be. Torgaddon pushes to pull out, where Eidolon pushes to destroy more trees. And here's something interesting. Tarvitz and Bull and Lucius are sitting there talking together. And Torgaddon, being in a foul mood, comes up to them like, he's a moron. Well, he doesn't really say he's a moron, but he's kind of twigged. And so he's like, I don't know how to feel about this idea that Eidolon's presenting. He said he destroyed these trees, and that it, you know, is what would it's what released? No, not that word. Dispelled. Dispelled's a good word. Dispelled the shield storms. And while he's doing this, Bull says, you know, that's just not true. Saul Tarvitz is the one who came up with this idea. And then Torgaddon accepts the idea, learning that it was Tarvitz's idea, not Eidolon's, saying that knowing that it was your idea makes me more comfortable along that path. And then we're interested. introduced words to another Luna Wolf. And actually, this is a really cool Luna Wolf, Yakton Cruz. A Luna Wolf from before Horus was reunited with the Luna Wolves and had been in service to the Emperor for a very long time. And a lot of the other members of the Luna Wolves kind of look down on him. They call him the half herd. And he thinks it's because he talks with a softer tone, so it makes it whatever he says important. So they have to pay attention more. When in reality, it's just like they don't care what he has to say. He's a relic of the past and has no place in the Legion of today. After we get done with our introduction to Yakton Cruz, we then go to Loken, who is reading from the book that Cinderman loaned him, and he gets to a story of a man called Anaut Keezer, where one of his lieutenants slew him after turning into a demon. And this seemed kind of important. And then he goes through and starts reminiscing about and thinking about some of the stuff in his locker, and he gets to a wire that he had used in the battle against an Eldar and used it to garrot said Eldar. And then he sees the data slate with the pictures of him taking his oath of moments before the Whisperhead, and he looks at the file, puts them all away, and then notices a second file, a hidden file, containing pictures from Yafredi Keeler on... Basically, they were pictures of what Jubal had become. And at this point, Loken is like, I need to go meet with her now. So he does. Little bit of a kerfluffle or an unpleasant interaction between Loken and an Imperial Army guard, or Imperial Army soldier, Imperial Army guard, sure. And he talks with Euphrates, and she explains that how she was suicidal. She was so depressed to the point of suicidal after Jubal's attack. And then she goes over the pictures with Loken, showing that how Jubal is almost out of sync with reality or phasing in and out of reality. And then she asks Loken, if this happens again, if brother turns against brother, would he step out of line and, condemn it? And he's like, that wouldn't happen. That would result in a civil war. You're talking about the impossible. And then after that conversation ends, Keeler requests that Loken delete the images of Jubal. And after Loken leaves, she pulls out a pamphlet, some candles, and prays before an altar to the Emperor. And we see that Euphrates Keeler has in fact found faith from the Lectitio Divinitatis. Now, I would like to say that's where this part of the book ends, but it doesn't. This part ends on a really, really cool note. So after that, Loken gets called. There's a ship just warped in. Is it enemies? Is it enemies? No! It's the Blood Angels. It's Sanguinius himself. Now the part ends. So, with that being said, I hope you all enjoyed this. Thank you to all of my patrons on Patreon. Thank you to all the people who support the channel behind the scenes and on the Discord. And a special thank you to my, pretty much at this point, my number 2 man, Coda, who does probably the most help behind the scenes. Without him, I probably would not have came up with half of the stuff I would have came up with for the channel. So, with that all being said, if you want to support the channel and you cannot do it monetarily, join the Discord, throw out ideas. I am very, very welcoming to new ideas. Throw out ideas, throw out, like games that you would like to see me try, throw out something like you'd want me to see different. I'm always willing to change. Or if you can, or if you do want to support monetarily and you can, then there are two ways. You can go either to Patreon or you can go and to Streamlabs when I am streaming. Now, after every $20 donated per person, they get to sponsor their own video. And at the beginning of said video, I will say, this video is sponsored by this person, or if you want to remain anonymous, it is sponsored by an anonymous person. And essentially go from there, and then I will start the video. But with that all being said, I hope you all have a wonderful day. I will see you all in the next one. Bye!